Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reds Room, where we take an in-depth look at Cincinnati Reds memorabilia. I'm your host, Sean Sparks, and joining me for the third and final time, hopefully not the absolute final time, all the way from Huntington, West Virginia, Mark Reed. Mark, welcome once again to the Reds Room.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, so before we talk about what we got here today, a lot of the items you've seen over the past two episodes, and you'll see it here today. Of course, next month will be April. And Mark will once again, God willing, we'll be at
God willing, yeah.
we'll be at set up at the Moeller Show at in Cincinnati.
Yep.
And a lot of these items you've seen today, and like I said, over the past two episodes, will be available for sale there. And so make sure you stop by and visit Mark. He's a great guy. He'll love talking. He'll talk sports memorabilia with you all day long. And so make sure you do that. It's a great show regardless. I think everyone should. Any Reds fan definitely needs to go at least once.
Definitely.
So
Last weekend in April.
the last week, that's right, last weekend in April, correct. I think it's cincycardshows.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
you can check that website for more details. So in the past, we've talked about postcards, maybe 9 months ago or so, but those were stadium related, and a lot of them were early Palace of the Fans, Crosley Field type. What we're going to talk about today is player postcards, which are equally as popular
Yeah.
and also very collectible. So let's start right here because there's three here, and I'll bring them each one of them up here. But we got this Pete Rose, which is just kind of a headshot. This looks like 70s to me.
Yeah, I think it's
headshot.
about 74, 75.
Okay. And looking at this one, you got a $40 retail value on it. I mean, they're not dated on the back, right? I mean, unless somebody actually mailed them, but
Right.
this one wasn't. But I guess you just kind of got to judge by their appearance, right?
Yeah, well, there's some different styles and formats. They can definitely, some of them didn't really change much from year to year, so there can be certain years that are pretty difficult to distinguish. Other years are easier. For example, like this one, this rose, similar in terms of, it's a black and white. It's the same size. It's just a headshot. But if you see the team name is in red here. Same facsimile autograph as the other one, and you can see Rose is wearing the button-up flannel there.
So that'd be from the 60s.
Yeah.
And you
So
got-
that one in particular is a 69.
And that's 69 for sure.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
You got a $125 retail value on that.
Right.
And I'm just counting, these are all facsimile signatures on
Yes.
these rows here. And here's one. Now this I can see just from the jersey that's got the 76
Yeah.
centennial patch on it.
Right.
So was that date this to 76? No.
Or at least after 76. That one's a little bit different.
And you have a retail value of $350.
Yeah, that one's extremely difficult to
Is
find.
it really?
Yeah.
Wow. And it's got double
yeah.
facsimile signature on it.
Yeah, I didn't realize when I first picked that up, I thought that was a real signature, the top one.
Yeah.
But as I kind of did a little bit more research on it and talked to some people that I knew were pretty familiar with it, that it's not a real signature.
Yeah, and it's actually two different. I mean, I know he changed his signature slightly,
Right.
and it's got both versions that I know of his signatures: his early one and his later one.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Wow.
So let me explain a little bit about that. The 69 we talked about, as well as this one, which is about 74, 75. The Reds would typically issue those, pretty much for every guy that's on the team. So, you're talking, as well as the manager and coaches. So you're talking 30 plus. Even for the guys, some of the guys that were coming and going during the year, and they're, it's kind of basically a complete set. It's difficult to find checklists for them out there, but they are out there. There's some pretty dedicated postcard collectors who've put together pretty comprehensive checklists for each of these years. So there's, basically a complete set of 69 Reds postcards, for example.
Is it every player or just select players?
Pretty much every player.
Is that
Yeah,
right? I didn't know
it's
that.
interesting. Some of the I don't know if they're necessarily more valuable, but definitely harder to find, are some of the guys who just appeared very briefly with the Reds. if they just came up like, at some point midway during the year toward the latter part of the season. One of the ones I picked up recently is, excuse me, I think it's Richie Scheinblum. Played with the Reds for, I don't know, 20 or 30 games in 1973.
Never even heard that.
I haven't either. And I look at the postcard and I think this guy doesn't look familiar. I've never seen this card before. So you go look him up, and yeah, he played a few games with the Reds. But being that he came up partway through the year, I don't think that card is made in similar quantities to guys like Pete Rose or the guys that are with them the whole year.
Okay. And I kind of get it. So since this is a picture of a 76, you're probably right. This was done 77 or whatever.
Yeah.
Did all of them have the double signature?
Well, that's what makes this one a little bit different in that I think this was kind of like this wasn't part of a complete set. In other words, the Reds didn't issue cards in this time period for everybody on the team. I don't know if this was like for a special promotional appearance for Rose, but like there's not a comparable Johnny Bench card and Ken Griffey card and so forth. Yeah, so I don't know exactly the circumstances that card was issued, but I know from talking to a number of pretty dedicated Rose collectors as well as postcard collectors, that one's a pretty difficult one to find.
At a $350 retail, is this of these style postcards? Is this the most?
That's definitely at the high end.
That's
for sure.
Okay. This is one of the most desirable and highest retail.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. But that being said, I think something that has kind of fueled the market on these and kind of driven prices up is PSA will grade these. So a lot of the guys who collect Rose or Bench and are involved with the PSA set registry buy these and get them graded, looking for high grades. That's driven prices up, specifically on Rose and Bench. Kind of on all of them, but especially those two guys.
So getting them slabbed and graded could be beneficial, just like with cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Speaking of that, we got a 73 Kluszewski postcard, and this one is signed.
Yeah.
And this one is the certified for the authentic autograph.
Right.
You have a $60 value on that. And is that an added value for the slab and the signature?
Yeah, that's almost entirely on the signature. I mean, like that Kluszewski card, unsigned, is a $5 to $10 card.
Oh, okay, so we're looking exclusively at the signature on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
because Kluszewski passed away in 88, I think.
Yeah,
so
in the 80s.
and a very popular player and coach with the Reds. So he signed a lot of stuff, but a lot of people like Kluszewski autographed material.
And before we get to these older ones here in the middle, let's talk. Here's a couple Perez.
Okay.
And we got this one here, has a retail value of $50. And this looks, is this the same set as this one over here? Or is it just?
This might be 70.
It
might be 69.
Right now.
That's one of the things that gets confusing with them.
Okay.
Because some of the years look very similar. This is about 69 or 70.
Okay. And what about this?
Similar to the first Rose we looked at, that's about from 1974, 75.
Okay, and that has a $20 retail value. And then on the end here, we have a Bench that has a $50 retail value.
Yep. Now, I believe this is 1970.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, it looks kind of young there.
Yep. I'm still wearing the button-up flannels in that one. So.
And again, you saying having these slabbed and with a high grade can make them worth double, triple, what? How much more you think?
They're not necessarily a rule of thumb. I mean, depends on what the grade is.
True.
Obviously, it depends on who the player is. But just as an example, I mean, some of these prices can just go nuts. The Bench, came up in like August of '67.
Correct.
So the Reds actually made a card like this, a postcard in '67. So, and he's got the pinstripe jersey. Extremely hard to find. So, most bench collectors are looking for that card. I mean, that's truthfully in good shape, easily $1,000 card.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
They get into big money.
Oh, I bet. So now let's look at these vintage ones here. And now this one is signed. That's not a photo?
Yeah, no, that's a real
Okay,
signature.
and this is Wally Post. And of course, I just recently had on Jay McCollum, who's a big Wally. I'm sure he has this.
Yeah.
Now this one has a retail value of 75, and now this one has some writing on the back. It says Cincinnati Baseball Club, Crosley Field, Cincinnati, Ohio. And you have a $75 retail value. Now what's the value? Is it that in the signature as well, or?
Yeah. For that one, for these older ones, the value's mainly in the signature.
Is it okay?
Yeah, but interestingly, I think the main purpose of the cards they made back in this era were for autographs and responding through the mail to autograph requests.
Okay.
So you see, they got the little white box there at the bottom. That was for them to put their autograph
That
in.
was for it. And of course, Wally didn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, now this is a Klazuski, same value. And again, you're basing that, like I said, mainly on the signature.
Yes.
Oh,
See, that one's postmarked.
yeah, and this one postmarked.
Can you read it?
Maybe. No, I can't. Now 1956.
Yeah.
Okay. Same back says Cincinnati Baseball Club on the back, and this was even addressed.
Yeah.
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah, and probably by Klazuski. I mean, it's probably his handwriting.
Yeah, you may be right on that. Very
Yeah.
likely. And now,
Which is very typical for the postcards from that that era.
right. And so these are all from just the 50s. Did they change in style much during the 50s?
Yeah, well, this is what they look like kind of through the early and mid 50s. You get into the later 50s, they look a little bit more like this, with the with the white borders and things like that.
Okay, all right. Well, that is definitely some good information. I did not know that much about these style postcards, so I learned a lot today.
Yeah, and one other thing I'll add is I typically refer to all these as postcards. Some of the hardcore collectors will tell you this is not a postcard because it's a blank back. It's just all white.
Okay,
This is a photo card.
photo card.
I call it a postcard.
Okay, what is postcard size?
Yeah, it's postcard size, but not the postcard back. So
Okay. Now, here's an interesting question. You bring something to my attention then. Have you ever seen one written out as a postcard?
I don't think I have.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
Well, that's definitely some good information there, and very fascinating to learn about these style postcards. And apparently, I've been doing them for a long time. So,
Yeah, for sure.
and if anybody has any to share, some rare ones to share, please be sure to do that. And make sure in the last weekend of April, you see Mark at Moeller. And until next time, happy collecting, everyone.